Good afternoon, basketball fans, as we are wrapping up another long Victoria Day weekend here on the east coast of Canada. One of these two teams hoping to get one step closer to wrapping up this series and punching their ticket to the NBL finals to take on the London Lightning. It's game number 5, the Island Storm and the Halifax Hurricanes here at NBL Canada on YouTube. My name is Dan Hobson. Quickly, the starting lineups here for the Island Storm. Jahi Carson, keep an eye on him. He had a bandaged shoulder. See how it affects him here in this game. Mike Allison rewarded for his strong play, getting a start here this afternoon. And of course, that's because of the scratch to AJ Stewart, Terry Thomas, Al Richter, and Akeem Ellis. Wrap up the starting 5 for the Island Storm. And for the Hurricanes, Tyrone Watson, Cliff Clinkscales, the team captain. Antoine Mason, strong game in game number 4. We'll talk about that for the broadcast. Bernardo Dixon, who has been hot, so Mike Leslie would go with the hot hand to start him, and Billy White wrap up the starting 5. These teams are battered and bruised as I bring in Vince Williams here. Seems like that, this is a really important game because there's a short turnaround, because as soon as this game's done, these teams are leaving, heading out of town, making their way to Charlottetown. Not a lot of room there to try to make some adjustments for what would be an elimination game tomorrow in Charlottetown.
Absolutely. It's a pivotal game. It's the swing game, and game 5 is always the swing game, and regardless of a 7-game series, especially when the teams are tied at 2 games apiece. So just as nice it is outside, Dan, right now, it's beautiful inside for the Halifax Hurricanes. Perfect conditions, meaning that they have home court advantage and they have an opportunity to win game 5 and then close it out on the going back tomorrow night against the Island Storm there in the East Link Center. They have a great home record throughout the season as well as the regular season, 18-6. So Halifax can get it done. They know how to get it done here at home. So that is the advantage, and that is the reason why it's great inside just as well as great outside. Now they need to take advantage of that opportunity. Both teams squandered home court advantage, losing at least one game on their home court. So now it's an opportunity for either team to take that commanding lead, and like you said, in game 6, have an opportunity to close it out.
Island Storm, they have been a win one, lose one type of team since round 1, and they won game 5 to, of course, get to the final here, and that's how things have gone. Won the first one, won the third one, and lost the second and the fourth one as you're underway here from the Scotiabank Center on a Monday afternoon, a rare Monday afternoon game here on NBL Canada YouTube, as Alice on the one-on-one against Clinkscales. Carson puts up the shot that's no good, and Bernardo Dixon getting the start here, as we mentioned, off the top, and he has been hot. 5 of 5 from downtown, but he's also a good defender too. Watson with the ball, hands it off to Clinkscales. Just past 30 seconds gone here in the opening quarter, and a big contingency has made their way from Charlottetown to watch this one, as the jumper from White is short and really physical there is Al Richter, as he puts a nice little wrestling move, and down goes Watson there for the first foul of the game. And the crew chief making the calls, Danny Patterson, Brian Lutz, and Ryan Lutz, the other 2 officials, Vince.
Well, they just picked up where they left off here in game number 2, where it was very physical here at Scotiabank Center between these 2 teams. You would think that the amount of times that they've played throughout the season, we haven't seen that type of physicality and that, basically that respect. We've seen it in Thomas hits the jump shot there. But I mean, we're going to see a lot of physicality this afternoon, Dan. Both teams are going to have to get this job done.
Well, we mentioned, of course, had a bandage on his shoulder. Jahi Carson doesn't have it right now, but he did during warm-up. And of course, also during warm-up, CJ Washington tried to come out and take some and was unsuccessful. It was really a short 2 minutes. And he was back and classified a scratch, as the deep 3 doesn't go that time. And Terry Thomas comes up with the board there for the Island Storm. Ellis for 3 and tickles of Twine, and all of a sudden a 5-0 run to start here, and almost pretty well repeat of how the Island Storm started the last game here.
Yeah, the Storm got off to a very quick start in game number 1, as they were able to steal that first game and they close it out down in the third, fourth quarter. But that shot from Ellis is going to be very key for the Island Storm this afternoon. If he can get that going, they're going to have a good chance of winning this game.
They were only 11.1% from three-point land, and another successful defense there for the Island Storm. And I'm going to call a double foul as Watson and Richter, round 2. Almost in the center.
You see that Al Richter's trying to match the physicality of Tyrone Watson. A lot of Tyrone Watson's play is underneath the basket, either on the offense or defensive play. Richter, undersized, probably more of a small forward instead of a power forward, where Watson plays the small forward position, but he plays like a power forward, Dan.
And just saw on the screen while Vince was explaining the situation that Watson started pointing the finger, and Billy White just slapped the hand of Watson right down. So
yeah, keeping the focus. You got to keep focus here. He can't get off task. He can't get off his game. He's got to continue to keep his head.
Now we up to 2.5 gone. Tyrone Watson, and that one doesn't go either. We're off to a tough start, 0 for 5 from the field so far. Richter for 3. Yes.
And that's what you get. That's what you get from Richter. He can knock down that jumper, and he caught it right in stride. Halifax has got to close out and run Richter off that three-point line. They can't allow him to catch and shoot it.
White back it in through the trees. Allison, and once again stands tall was the Iowa Storm. Allison, you might see
that's an
error ball there by Ellis, but he's got a little bit of a shiner from getting that elbow in game number 2, so he may not be winning too many beauty contests, but it gets the start here this afternoon. As I mentioned, A.J. Stewart off the not playing here, a scratch here for the Iowa Storm, as these teams have been going at it tooth and nail. You talked about the physicality.
Exactly. I mean, you see Jace not available as well, so 2 big guys, and Ronaldo banging it off the window.
Continuing that hot 3, 5 of 5, and 1 of 1 right now. 6
straight carryover from game number 4. Now, he's been very good from beyond the arc, 43% from downtown in the regular season. He can shoot it. He's going to force Allison, to come all the way out to the three-point line. If he can't run him off, Ronaldo's going to get some good looks and knock him down.
Ellis, another deep 3 that doesn't go, and Allison and Dixon fight with it, and the 50-50 ball won there by Dixon. Mason, 28 points, game number 4, gets his own rebound, and he's fouled. Now he'll have a chance to go to the free throw line. And usually the first person that knows where the ball's going to go is the one that just shot it.
Absolutely. Bad block out there by the Island Storm as Mason was able to chase down his own shot. Mason, an outstanding game number 4. 28 points on the night, 10 for 16 from the field, 2 for 6 from downtown. He was lights out.
And pretty well, everybody has to step up their game. No Washington, as we mentioned, and no Zimmerman, of course.
Right.
So,
but you do have Mike Poole. He was back, and he was big in game number 4 too, as he knocked down some timely three-point balls in that game. So the reserves for both teams are very much depleted, but it's probably going to be decided in this game. As you can see for the first 4 games, Dan, the reserves played key roles in the wins and the loss column for both teams.
8-0 run the start for the Iowa Storm. Now a 5-0 run here for the Hurricanes. Can Allison hit it on this possession? No, he can't. It's a weak side rebound picked up by Watson, who sends it over to Blake Scales. Entry pass, Dixon. Trying to get through the trees, will kick it back out. Shot clock at 12, 7:42 left to go. Mason, guarded by Richter, the clock at 8.
He's got to hurry, Billy's got to hurry.
Inside White, clock at 3. And bailed out there by a foul with just a couple of ticks left to go on the 24 shot clock. Free throws coming up.
And that's a matchup that Billy has to win. You can see Allison trying to get there and Thomas coming late. It's a tough assignment this afternoon for Allison to match up against Billy. Billy's been pretty good, and in particular catching the ball on that block as he's able to spin off his offhand. He's a natural left-hander into the paint. It's going to be a tough matchup defensively for Allison this afternoon.
Hurricanes shot 65.5% from the free throw line in game number 4. White misses the first, and that one just goes down. And it's a 2-point game. 7:28 left to go here in the opening quarter. Carson, as I mentioned, will keep an eye on that arm to see if it stiffens up, or he could hardly raise it there during warm-ups, but it could have been playing a little bit of possum. Back out, Ellis for 3. Hits the 10, and a physical matchup, and this one's going to be a loose ball foul against Allison, and he shows his displeasure there to Ryan Lutz, who made the call. on the loose ball. And now Baines will come into the game here as Allison will have a sit down. That's his second personal and the fourth team foul, for the Island Storm.
Yeah, Coach Salerno's going to have a tough afternoon of trying to manage minutes for his bigs. They're going to be very pivotal in this game. They have to come up big.
And Thomas is now down, and
yeah, he caught an elbow there, it looks like, from Antoine Mason as he was trying to clear some space. Thomas was closely guarding Antoine Mason off the ball, and it looked like he caught Thomas right in the right eye with an errant elbow.
Well,
not sure if it was on purpose, but it definitely drew the attention of the officials.
Not sure if our cameras caught it, but also Thomas has a little bit of blue tape on the back of the neck, so
yes.
It looks like he's favored a neck injury. As I say, these two teams have been through a demolition derby. All trying to punch their way to the final to take on the London Lightning. Jahi Carson, and he's fouled there as the crew chief, Danny Patterson, made the call on a Charlottetown. And 2 free throws coming up as the Iowa Storm faithful have made their way here to the Scotiabank Center.
As you take a look at that replay there, it looked like a clean steal from Klink. He's not happy, and he's showing his displeasure towards the officials. As Carson, as you mentioned, just kind of moved his left shoulder, and it looked like he is favoring it, not showing it with the actual the therapy tape, the blue therapy tape that Terry Thomas has on the back of his neck. But it does look like Jahi Carson might be in some physical displeasure here.
Yeah, well, he had like during the warm-up, like a big bandage on it, and of course some of the other media people, we were looking at it, and it's like he couldn't even raise it. But all of a sudden, you get into the game action, and all of a sudden the pain goes away. Watson, count it, and the flex.
Yeah, but now Richter's not moving. He's looking for an explanation. As you can see in the replay here, good ball movement. Klink finding the open man as he drew the double team, and it looked like a little bit of contact there on Watson, and Watson will make that 10 times out of 10 with that minimal contact. You need to basically stop him from raising his arms from not completing that play.
But can't complete the three-point play, and it hits off of Dixon's arm, so Storm ball. Fouls getting to be a little bit of a story, as Vince mentioned. Richter with 2, Allison on the bench with 2, and team fouls are 5 for the Iowa Storm compared to the 3 for the Hurricanes.
So probably not the recipe that Coach Salerno wanted right out of the gate to try to manage minutes for his lineup. It's 2 of the key starters are going down quickly with two fouls, and it looks like Al Richter's trying to play through it. Actually not, because here comes Rashad Wack. So Wack for Richter, and Wack's been pretty good as well in that reserve role coming off the bench. So both teams had the luxury, as we mentioned right at the top of this game, had the luxury of the reserves playing key roles and doing an outstanding job in that in their particular roles, that is.
Well, it was an excellent reserve role that Allison got there in game number 2 that we saw. He had double figures of points, and with the scratch to Stewart, finds himself here and wasn't the starting 5, but now on the bench here for the Iowa Storm.
And they're going to be big minutes too. Now he's got to be ready physically to play those big minutes. He's got to be able to battle down against those bigs of the Halifax Hurricanes and Ronaldo, as well as Billy White. And then you got the reserves coming off the bench in Anthony Cox and DeBerry.
Coming up to the halfway point of the first quarter, Iowa Storm got off to an 8-0 run, and now it's a 2-point lead, 10-8. As the shot doesn't go, White picks it up, and Baines was all over him, just like a cheap suit, and he ended up coming up with the ball. There's Klink, scales down with the ball. 5:49 left to go. New 24. White inside of the paint. Watson over Thomas, but can't hit. Baines there with the rebound. Good defense and nice closeout there by the Storm.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough matchup, and you can see the fire in the eyes of Tyrone Watson. He's got to make those shots, as he was able to get inside of Terry Thomas. Thomas is going to have a tough afternoon trying to guard him inside that painted area.
Person might have got away with a push. Here's Baines now, drives, contact, and some of the fans wanted to call.
Lots of contact on both ends of the floor, as the officials still trying to find their way through this game and allowing both teams to play through that physical contact.
That's an excellent point that you mentioned, is that Danny Patterson usually officiates in Prince Edward Island, so now these two Nova Scotia officials have to, come together. So it's also a learning progress for them.
Absolutely, an adjustment for both of them, and I'm pretty sure they've worked with each other. All three of these guys, Manny States, Ryan Lutz, and Patterson, at the CIS level, the U Sports level, and that carries over at the professional level in the three-man crew. And I'm pretty sure they have done it in the National Basketball League of Canada throughout the regular season. So lots of adjustments being made by all three teams on the court.
So, as you see, the Storm with a 2-point lead, and we're going to take a break here. We'll be back with more coverage here on NBL Canada YouTube.
Perfect. And then what you do is you tweet it to @HFX Hurricanes, #GameFace, and between the third and fourth quarter, we'll put the face up on the screen of the winner, and you get a Cineplex gift card. So do it right now, @HFX Hurricanes. Now, I think we're going to need to get awfully loud in the arena here today to support your Halifax Hurricanes, because we need this game. We're taking game 5. So DJ Mike, pump it up, and let's hear you, KBS. Make some noise!
5:20 left to go here in the opening quarter. The Storm started with an 8-0 run. The Hurricanes a little bit of a punch back, and it's a 2-point game right now as things continue to be physical. There is Danny Patterson with another call. As going against Antoine Mason. And we have a little bit, as I mentioned earlier, just a few minutes ago, the Iowa Storm have had a little bit of people come there, make a bus ride here from Charlottetown as Wax 3 doesn't go. It's the second to Antoine Mason there, and the 4th team foul. Coming up to 5 to go in the first quarter. 10-8. Mason, a little bit of a floater, tap in for the bucket.
Yeah, Ronaldo getting inside that paint. It's going to be a problem, Dan. I mean, the size and the length of Ronaldo, as well, along with Billy White, is going to be a difficult task for Ellison, along with Tyrell Baines, to block these guys off and keep them off the offensive boards.
Carson on White now finding some room. Tough take. Baines couldn't finish there.
Gotta have that.
Had his hand on the rim, but unable to get it down. Watson against Ellis. Thomas closing out quickly. Foul called. And Ellis not too happy with Ryan Lutz right now.
Both teams not happy with the officiating.
6-team foul, and now he's got a technical to boot.
Yeah, tease him up. As you can see in the replay there, his hands were definitely not straight up as he was leaning in to the contact there, as Watson was able to make his way under and work his way underneath that painted area. And according to that replay, Ellis didn't have a case there. If he would have had his hands straight up, he would have had a case, but because he was leaning in and arcing over Watson, it was definitely the right call to make by Ryan Lutz.
2 to Richter, 2 to Allison, and now 2 to Ellis.
Foul difficulty early here for the Island Storm. Coach Salerno not happy as he's shaking his head, watching Ronaldo step to the line to attempt these technical free throws.
He was perfect last year from the free-throw line with Dixon. So the stripe not a problem for him, and now Halifax has their first lead, 13-10, and a chance to add on here with this possession.
Yeah, the big man's got a beautiful stroke. That's Ronaldo Dixon, 6'9", center from New Mexico State by way of Toronto, Ontario. He's pretty good.
Mike Scales had his pocket pick, but right there was Thomas to pick it up. Now a transition, Thomas off the window, foul, and now chance to go to the stripe.
Yeah, they need Terry Thomas to be aggressive offensively and attacking the rim. Thomas has been very good throughout this series. He's coming up a little bit, looks like he's hobbling a little bit after that attempt but you can see that blue athletic tape on the back of his neck. Looked like he might have sustained some kind of neck or back injury of some sort. And it's been a very physical series as both teams are trying to, as you mentioned several times, punch their ticket to the final versus the London Lightning, who basically swept away the Windsor Express with relatively ease.
Yeah, look, the longer this goes for like both of these two teams, the harder it's going to be in that final round, because all of a sudden London has a chance to rest some players and get some injuries and get back to, you know, a strong 12. These guys have been through a train wreck, and there's still a couple more games left. Possibly see it go the full 7. Watson in, bucket!
Great ball movement and good look inside by Clinskills, and a nice step through and close down by Tyrone Watson, and he's getting it going, and it's on that stage where he's going to continue to dominate inside. The Island Storm definitely got to pay key mind to him on the defensive end.
Fadeaway jumper by Bays doesn't go, and Dixon comes over and quickly comes up with the ball. Dixon giving them the minutes. There's the alley-oop. Can Billy White finish? Wasn't pretty, almost went down, but not quite, as Carson will come up with the weak side rebound. 3:15 left to go. Carson on the 1-on-1. Bowen out here getting some minutes there. Baines too strong. And Clinskills lead pass. White, nice touch, bucket. 17-12.
Outstanding run out by Billy White as he was guarded by Jaheed Carson. And a great decision by Clinskills, noticing that the smaller man and Carson was guarding White, and a beautiful connection from long distance between the two.
Here's States. He's been a little bit quiet the last couple of games, so that goes out of bounds. And more changes as Al Stewart will come in, so this will definitely pick up the pace, the speedy veteran here.
Absolutely. If there's anybody on the Island Storm that can pick up the pace and pick up the tempo in this game, will be Al Stewart.
2:40 left to go. Here is Stewart, guarded by Clinskills. Got to put it up. Thomas from outside doesn't go. Bowen with the board. So all of a sudden there's a lid on the bucket here for the Island Storm. 2:26 left to go. Swings it over. Bowen to Clinskills now. Shot clock at 10. And a foul, and of course over the limit is the Island Storm, so 3 throws coming up. That's going against Brad Steach, be his first.
Yeah, and they need to continue to be aggressive and continue to attack the rim and get that ball inside and continue in their half-court sets, the inside-outside game. And they've been very dominant throughout this quarter, the Hurricanes have, so they continue to just pump that ball inside and make good decisions with it and not rush their offense.
Dixon, we take a look there. That's one of the veterans from last year's team that made the return, and he loves playing in the playoffs. Came up big last year, coming up big this year as well. 7-point game, 19-12. They come up to 2 left to go in the opening quarter. States from whack, and that's no good. Was a loose rebound there momentarily. Now it's a loose ball foul, and it's going to be called against the Hurricanes. It's going against Watson, and he's not too happy about it.
And the smallest man on the court coming up with that loose ball, that 50-50 ball, and that rebound, Al Stewart. Stewart had an outstanding game, number 4, 8 for 12 from the field, ended up with 17 points, along with 4 rebounds and 3 assists. He's been definitely very good for Coach Salerno coming off the bench in the reserve row.
Joey Haywood getting some minutes here in the dying few minutes of the first quarter. 7-point game. The previous foul went to Tyrone Watson, his second 16 foul. Jumper by Thomas, rattles around and goes in. 5-point game.
Much needed extended possession there after that miss from 3-point range by States. As Al Stewart once again coming up huge with that rebound, that 50-50 ball.
Went for the steal, didn't come up with it. White for 3, too strong. And Dixon goes up with it, using his size advantage over States and getting a new 24. 1:24 left to go, and as I mentioned earlier, the Storm do not have a foul to give. An alley-oop inside, unsuccessful. Nice pass, wrong team. States hands it off to Stewart. Back out, whack. Guarded hard there by Haywood. Coming up to 1 minute to go here in the first quarter. Thomas now assess the situation. Shot clock at 10. Now drives in the arc. Looking for help. States goes toward the hoop. Looking for it. And now he'll knock it out of bounds, and it's Hurricanes basketball. Less than a minute to go in the first quarter.
Yeah, outstanding help on the help line there by Clint Scales as he was able to knock it off of States with the quick hand. Clint's got those hands, very deceptive defender. May not be the quickest defender with the feet, but his hands make up for his lack of quickness.
Went for the steal. He had 2 steals in game number 4 in Charlottetown Saturday night. Clank Scales for 3, no, and Thomas goes up. And it's going to be a 9 seconds difference between the game clock, shot clock, so both teams can go 1 for 1 here. Here is Stewart in the paint, makes a nice move, and it doesn't get the chance to go. States will kick it back out, and new shot clock actually shut off here, so they'll hold it for the final one. Hurricanes no fouls to give. Whack, Ed Haywood on the one-on-one. Whack, over Haywood, and that hits 10. Dixon, and went to Baines as they hit a couple of players, and Baines with the easy layup to end the opening quarter. A run there by the Iowa Storm. Looked like they were going to, take this game and run with it, but a bounce back by the Hurricanes, and a little bit of a better few minutes there for the Storm to come back, and it's a 3-point game, 19-16 after the opening 12.
Yeah, good possessions, grinding it out. Second chance opportunities were huge. Throughout that quarter, Halifax was limiting the Island Storm to the one and dones down the stretch in the last 2.5 minutes. Halifax struggled a little bit defensively, giving up and surrendering consecutive second chance and third chance opportunities. And that opportunity there, Ronaldo had a chance to grab that rebound, gambled a little bit, turned it over, and the Island Storm was able to get a bucket out of it by Terrell Baines. So both teams continuing to do what they need to do defensively, getting the one and dones. Offensively, the Island Storm not having their full complement of players because of foul trouble in the first 12 minutes. So that's an adjustment that Coach Solano has to continue to make happen. But on the Halifax side, Halifax is in pretty good shape. Nobody really in foul difficulty. The reserves are playing a pretty good role. I mean, in the last game, in game number 4, the reserves were outstanding, Dan. 54 points from the reserves for the Halifax Hurricanes. Basically won in that game on the road, and they're going to be relied on this afternoon to do the same. So, I mean, the next 12 minutes is going to be interesting because the Storm, as you mentioned, in foul difficulty, have their key guys not able to play through the first 12 minutes. So, like I said, juggling those guys and game management is going to be pretty key. As you can see, the crowd here at Scotiabank Center this afternoon, live and well. And I mean, the travel team, the Island Storm, their contingent, as you mentioned, have been very loud as well.
Yeah, they're just right close to the left of our broadcast location, so they have been making noise. A little bit of a worrisome for seeing that the Island Storm are going to out-cheer the Halifax people. And they're just in one little section, so they came and they brought their A game.
Oh yeah, it's a big game. Like you said, it's like the swing game this afternoon. As you mentioned, it's a close. Game 6 is going to be a closeout game for somebody this afternoon when this one is completed.
Well, I've had a chance to talk to the coaching staff of the Halifax Hurricanes, and they said that game 4 was their best defensive effort pretty well in this round. And I kind of asked them, do you think you're going to have the same sort of result here this afternoon? And jokingly, Joe Wells fakes throwing a coin up and, doing a heads or tails sort of type thing. So,
well, he wasn't lying.
Yeah, he's not too sure that they can do it,
He wasn't lying, surrendering 90 points, and the highest point level that they gave up a quarter was 25, and that happened in the second and fourth quarter.
Yeah, well, the thing is, their success, so they got to keep it below the 100. It's a century mark. Anytime Richter running back as Ellis is trying to gather troops there. Richter will go to the free throw line. 20 seconds in here, and that's a foul to Klingscales. It's his second of the first here of the second quarter as Richter will go to the line.
Richter's trying to rebound from game number 4 as he struggled from the field, 0 for 7 from the field combined. He was 0 for 6 from downtown. His only points on the night coming from the free throw line where he was 2 for 2.
2-point game, 19-17. You see the team that the Iowa Storm were a little bit different once Stewart came into the game. Mike Scales now, Bowen getting some minutes. Georgetown product. Watched there by Richter. Takes the K up, set the screen, entry pass. Shot clock winding down. Mike Scales, clock at 5. Over Stewart for 3, in and out. Tough luck there for the team captain as it went in, and then it bounced right out. Chance here for the Storm to take the lead here, something they haven't had since the early minutes. And actually they'll tie it there on the 2-pointer there by Keem Ellis. 56 seconds gone, and Mike Poole will come into the game. And Poole, as you mentioned, missed a few games here of the series, came back in game 4 and had a pretty good outing with 11 points in 19 minutes there on Saturday.
Absolutely, 4 for 8 from the field, but importantly, he was 3 for 6 from downtown. Halifax had a pretty good shooting night as they went 12 for 25 from beyond the arc.
Poole, 3, too short. And Stewart, you said it, the shortest man out there on the court came up with that.
Seems to be around the basketball a lot on both ends of the floor, Al Stewart is.
Is too strong as Cox coming up here. Cox pointless in the last game, but they need the big man here to try to give them some good minutes. Is Haywood with a layup. Makes it 21-19.
Haywood also trying to get off the snide here as he got the quick 2. He struggled in game number 4 as well in limited minutes. 0 for 2 from the field, ended up with 0 points on the night.
Haywood going end to end, but can't get the finish as Wack goes up. Gets the ball. Pass up ahead. Ellis. White goes through the trees. Tough bucket as Otieno is there defending 1-on-2, but a nice one.
That was an amazing play in that reverse layup. I'm not even sure if Ellis even seen the rim as he was able to fight through the contact, and he was looking for the and 1, but a beautiful finish at the rim on that reverse layup.
Poole, 3, too strong. Cox had it momentarily. There's a couple of 24s fighting, and they give a little bit of push and shove.
Yeah, and they're continuing the fight after the whistle, battling between him and Anthony Cox. Ellis is all fired up this afternoon.
The peacemaker right now, getting in between the two.
Yeah, Ellis is all fired up here this afternoon. Knocked down an early jumper from beyond the arc. Had some good play, got some early foul difficulty, had to sit down for the remainder of the first 12 minutes, but you can see he really wants this afternoon.
Poole too strong, a low clock once again. And now the Storm have a chance to take the lead. Once again, Stewart had a nice defensive play, but he'll follow up and get the bucket.
Little man's always staying with it. That's one thing you cannot take away is the heart and the ability to keep fighting of Al Stewart. This guy is tremendous when it comes to just his ability to stay with it.
Allison back out on the floor against White. White takes it strong. Allison called for his third and trying to calm down, not take a technical, is the big man, the former Niagara River Lion. As I mentioned earlier, he's not going to win a beauty contested because he's got a nice little yellow shiner there from taking that elbow in game number 2 here at the Scotiabank Center.
And he's not
still pleading his case there to Manny States.
And he's not going to win that matchup one-on-one with Billy White if he's giving up Billy White's natural hand and left hand. He's got to take Billy White's natural left hand in his drive to the basket, going with the left hand away. He's got to force him to go right and make it uncomfortable and make it tough for Billy, because that matchup is going to be win 10 times out of 10 between him and Billy White.
Baines will come in as Allison will sit down, as that's his third foul. So that is the story right now. Some of the big men in a little bit of foul difficulty. Richter also going off as well. He had a couple and Allison has 3, so we'll see if that's the storyline the rest of this one here. Coming up to 3, gone in the second quarter. Foul called on the floor, going to Haywood.
Joey playing very tight defense there, not happy with that call as him and Jahi Carson battling out off the dribble.
Haywood, his first second team foul. Jahi Carson as Baines sets the screen, got a little bit of room. Carson, jumper doesn't go, and foul called here.
Yeah, it looks like it's on Anthony Cox. Looked like he might have pushed off Tyrell Baines. Baines had positioning inside on that offensive rebound, and it looked like Anthony Cox might have went through and over the back of Tyrell Baines, and the reason why we had that stoppage of play.
So now Cox with his first, so that's the third team foul, so all of a sudden the foul's racking up here for the home team. Baines, jumper, yes.
Nice jump shot. Baines has been very good throughout this series, knocking down that mid-range jumper. Outstanding job by Al Stewart breaking down the defense and kicking it out to the wide open Baines.
Hurricanes need to weather this storm here. 3-point game, all in favor, and smothering defense. They'll come up with the ball. It's Stewart. Carson, and that's too many steps. Turns it over to the Hurricanes, and the thing is that the Storm are doing this with pretty well most of the important players for the Hurricanes on the bench. Pretty well White's the only starter, and well, Poole, he's coming back from injury, so this is where they need to kind of get a little bit of a fight back, not maybe win the game, but not at least allow the Storm to get some momentum going.
Yeah, the Storm doing a good job defensively with this smaller lineup. They'll tend to go to the 3-2 zone where they'll trap the inbound with basically the pass down inside the paint to the bigs, where Al Stewart or Jahi Carson would double team and force that big to make a pass, and Al Stewart once again, second
time
chance.
it, pretty well they just gave the basketball to the Storm underneath the hoop, and it's all of a sudden it's a 5-point lead here for the Storm. 7:47 left to go till halftime. Hurricanes badly need a bucket, almost a turnover there. Haywood puts his floater up and bucket, and that will make things a little bit calmer here at the Scotiabank Center. Now they need to stop. 3-point game.
Haywood got a little lucky there as the double team and even triple team came over the Billy. That pass was knocked away right into his hands, and he made an aggressive play to finish at the rim with the finger roll.
Offensive foul called. It's going against Jahi Carson, and he's right in the ear of Patterson.
Trying to explain that he needed to make that space, as Joey Haywood is not allowing Jahi Carson to get that ball back once he gives it up off the dribble.
Carson called for his first second team foul. Hurricanes have 3 team fouls. As I mentioned, the Storm have 2. We're coming up to 5 gone here in the second quarter.
Here comes the double. Good pass
Haywood
there by Billy.
up fake as they'll swing it around. White now, nice move, off the window and in.
Wow, outstanding play there by Billy White, using his long length as he was just able to dribble over top of Al Stewart. Billy did a good job in that sequence, Dan. We recognized the double team coming late by Al Stewart, and made an outstanding stretch pass across the court, and that opened up the spacing for him to have that ability to attack the rim.
Baines spins and shoot is no good. And all of a sudden the Hurricanes have brought a 5-point deficit down to 1. That could go ahead here if they can get a bucket here in this possession. Haywood, 3. That bounces in and out. So the 3 ball not lucky. Clink Scales bounced, went on in and out earlier, and Haywood that time. 6:19 left to go.
Struggling from beyond the arc thus far this afternoon are the Halifax Hurricanes. A good look for Joey Haywood. He needs to knock down that jumper. As you can see, and once again, Joey's hits the deck again, and it looks like Al Stewart was trying to gain space on Joey Haywood. So Haywood playing the best this afternoon on the defensive side for the Canes.
Back-to-back offensive fouls. And for Stewart, that'll be his first, and they're not taking a chance here with Al Stewart getting the second one. Whack comes back in for him. Definitely, as we talked about when he came in, with quick in the pace, he did that. Storm got a little bit of a run, and now they're up by 1. White, wide open, jam! Breakdown.
Big time breakdown and mix up between the Island Storm. They really didn't know what they were going to play, whether it was man-to-man or a 3-2 zone, and a beautiful blow-by and a 2-handed jam for Billy White, probably his easiest field goal this afternoon thus far.
Thomas quiets the Scotiabank crowd down with the 3, 30-28.
Nice half-court set by the Island Storm. Thomas coming off of that double screen. Made no mistake knocking down that triple.
Billy White, Baines backs in on Baines now. into the paint. Now swings it out after getting some double coverage. Not the prettiest of shot, and it doesn't go, and Terry Thomas goes up and comes up with it for the Island Storm as we're coming up to 5 to go here in the first half. Baines, jumper, bucket.
Yeah, it's very good knocking down that mid-range. You can't allow Terrell Baines to just stand there and knock down those 15, 16 footers.
Cox was double, triple teamed and loses the ball, but it goes off a Storm defender. And now we're gonna have a timeout on the floor. Chance here for everybody to take a breather. 32-28, the Island Storm leading the Halifax Hurricanes. You're watching NBL Canada on YouTube. Taking a look at some of the highlights here. As we take a look at that slam there by Billy White. White having a pretty good one, and once again, that's beautiful two-handed flush. That really got things going, and teams have returned here to the floor. 4-point game as plays back underway here from the Scotiabank Center. Dixon back out here, along with Haywood, Antoine Mason, and Watson. I'll swing it over. Dixon going to take it to 3. Nortman getting some playing time here for the Island Storm. Second chance opportunity for Watson and bucket.
Yes, great ball movement. Ronaldo Dixon giving up a good shot for a better shot. Haywood not able to knock down the shot, but it opened up the floor for the easy put back for Watson.
Long rebound, and Watson had to go a bit to get it. Almost lost it, but regains possession there for the Hurricanes. White on the 1-on-1 against Nortman. Tried to back it off the glass and in and couldn't, and White palms out looking for a call, and none coming as the Storm head back up the court here on this possession. Carson uses the Ellis screen. Ellis gets the ball, the shot, bucket, and he says, hey, that's A-okay, as he drains the 3, and it's a 5-point game, 35-30.
That's his second on the afternoon. 2 for 6 now from downtown as Akeem Ellis. He will continue to stroke that 3 ball in those positions as he likes to hit them on a 45-degree angle.
Mason with a nice move, and Wack was backing up, got some separation, and that allowed Mason with the shot to put it in. Makes it a 1-possession game. There's a loose ball, and it's going the Hurricanes' way. 35-32, 3.5 left as we look at Karsten. And the shoulder doesn't seem to be bothering him too much. Might have been just a little bit stiff to start, but
yeah, the range of motion, the full range of motion is definitely not there. As you picked up it on the pregame, and I picked up on it when he had his first attempt at the free throw line, as he was trying to basically get that left shoulder to get some movement before he attempted the free throw. So he definitely doesn't look like he's 100% this afternoon.
Said, well, I'll keep an eye on it. He had 25 points in game number 4. Ellis for 3, back-to-back trays.
Yeah.
And once again, the signature A-okay as he heads back down the court in a 2-possession game.
He's got the stroke going this afternoon, and it's a pivotal game. He knows that guys are in foul difficulty, and he just picked up a foolish foul there As both of us seeing it from here, our broadcast area, as he laid the people's elbow on Antoine Mason, trying to make his way through the painted area.
That's his third too.
It's not good. It's the way he's been playing. He's been very hot, knocking down those shots from beyond the arc. As you mentioned, back-to-back threes, so not a good foul there on this defensive end for Hakeem Ellis. They need him this afternoon. He needs to be on the floor and available.
3 to go till halftime here for the Scotiabank Center. Game number 5 of the NBL Atlantic Division Final. Shot clock at 6. Clegg Scales sends it over. Mason over and in.
Beautiful ball movement. Great decision off the dribble by Antoine Mason. He's able to knock down that teardrop.
Carson, 3, doesn't go. That's the thing that Joe Wells was also saying, is sometimes defensively they were doing a lot of watching and not very aggressive, and said that the ball movement was going to be key too. And Vince mentioned the ball movement has been pretty well, but that one wasn't very well, as Watson almost practically went into like the events table there to try to save that one for the Hurricanes. They couldn't, and it's going to be Storm ball, 2:26 left to go.
Well, the Storm have done an outstanding job in the 3-2 zone. Whenever the ball's entered it down low in the bigs for the Hurricanes, they've been sending 2 or 3 guys to force that passer to make a good decision with the pass. So if he's able to make a good pass, good rebound there by Ronaldo. If he's able to make a good pass, it opens up the floor, and shots are going to be knocked down by wide open shots for the Canes.
They almost telegraphed that one, but Dixon came up the ball. Watson tried to, pardon me, Thomas tried to pick his pocket. In the meantime, he's going to be called for too many steps. And turns it over. So you take a look there out of the Toronto, Nova Scotia, or Toronto, Ontario native. Boy, I just made a new province. 38-34. 1:49 left. Foul called there as going against Billy White. That's his first, as you hear our public address announcer Chris Lydon say. And the Star will have decided to call a timeout here, 38-34. As Ellis makes his way off, trying to get the Island Storm faithful that made the big bus trip down here to watch this one make some noise. We'll step out, and we'll be back here with the remaining minutes here of the second quarter here on NBL Canada YouTube. If you're just tuning in on this Victoria Day weekend here, Monday afternoon from the Scotiabank Center, 38-34, 100 seconds left to go. Dan Hobson alongside Vince Williams and the Silver Vision crew as Robert Nortman comes in, getting some minutes. Nortman there, too strong, and Dixon comes up with it here. 90 seconds left to go, and good 2 for 1 here for the Hurricanes. Pike Scales with the ball. White now has it one-on-one against Nortman. Now backs in on Nortman. It's going to be a tough matchup for him. And Nortman's going to be called for the foul. Be the 15th foul for Nortman, his first.
And that's Nortman's game. He likes to be very visco, the Dalhousie University product. First time you've seen him in this series in game number 5. As he's able to get some minutes here, as you can see, continuing. Coach Salerno doing an outstanding job with game management with his guys.
Yeah, he sent Ellis there, who's in a little bit of foul difficulty, has 3. Didn't want to get him his 4th. States the UPEI and Acadie Axman product back out here. Mason, tough bucket with the shot clock at 5. And Richter had a little bit of butterfingers, put it right under the palms of Watson, and he puts it up and in.
Yeah, unlucky play there on that defensive end for Al Richter, as he was able to body up and basically muscle out Tyrone Watson for the positioning on that rebound. Slipped through his hands, and Watson was able to get that put back there. So that battle ensues between Watson and Richter.
Foul called here. It was a nice little setup there as Norman set the screen, and then he got the ball fair from Thomas.
Yeah, good roll back on that pick and roll, rolling back towards the rim, and great awareness by Terry Thomas, and unselfish basketball from him, and giving it up to the Nortman and trusting that Nortman was going to make that catch.
Yeah, Dixon called for his 2nd personal, so now the Hurricanes will call a timeout here. Set things up 38-36. We'll be back here at NBL Canada, Utah. Resetting things right now, both teams at 5 team fouls, so they do have 1 to give here. 39.2 seconds left to go. Bowen will make his way in for Watson. The Storm here to inbound. States a little bit too far to the reach there of Carson, but he ran back to get it. A nice athletic play there by the little man. But he's a big man here for the Iowa Storm. The leading scorer driving, gets the contact, and now that's the 16th foul. It was a shooting one. And all of a sudden, there was a little bit of favor, and you can see the grimace on his face there. Jahi Carson, not really in comfortable land here this afternoon.
No, definitely not. You can see in the replay here, good job of splitting the defense. Outstanding crossover there on DeBerry as he was able to leave him in space. So that pick and roll and consecutive possessions for the Island Storm has been very good. One the Halifax Hurricanes have to make an adjustment to. But as you mentioned, Jahi Carson not 100%, but he's been very good throughout this series. There's a touch up on the last game, game number 4, 8 for 14 from the field, 2 for 6 from downtown, 7 for 10 from the charity stripe. Ended up with 25 points and 5 assists and 4 rebounds on the night. That's outstanding numbers.
Yeah, and you also earlier talked about the game management as Salerno went to his bench there, trying to protect Richter and brought Wack back out. Another timeout here. So step aside once again, 40-36, the Storm leading Halifax Hurricanes in game number 5 of the NBL Finals, Atlantic Finals. 29.4 ticks left to go. It's a 4-point game. We're getting close to halftime here. One foul to give here for the Island Storm. And there's a 5-second difference between the game clock and the shot clock. Carson trying to foul, but the ball movement just great here. Barry now to Barry. Mason loses the rock there along the sideline. Norman has the ball. Shot clock shut off. Laid pass Richter. And quickly over there is Watson making sure the three doesn't go up. Carson now with the clock winding down off the window and in.
That's beautiful. Beautiful finish for the Island Storm as they were able to get key stops down the last 2.5 minutes, locking down defensively, and that beautiful floater off the window to beat the buzzer by Jahi Carson. You wouldn't be able to tell that that guy's not 100% after that attempt to close out the second quarter.
42-36, and you can probably hear the Island Storm faithful as they cheer on their guys heading to the dressing room, up by 2 possessions, 42-36. So we're gonna step out here for a break, and we'll be back here in about 14 minutes with quarter number 3, game number 5 between the Island Storm and the Halifax Hurricanes, 42-36. Back in about 14 on NBL Canada YouTube.
because of foul trouble.
And we're underway here. A big 24 minutes. And of course, one of these teams, by the time that this is done and over, will be on the brink of elimination, with an elimination game being played tomorrow. Carson with the steal, and the easy steal and the bucket. And that's not a good start if you're the team in white.
Absolutely not, but it's still continuing to put the pressure defensively are the Island Storm. I mean, that was an outstanding decision there by Jahi Carson, making that gamble and an easy deuce as he was able to get it over Billy White. Carson.
White on the double team. Dixon for three, yes!
There it is, that's what they need. Dixon stroking that three ball. He had a good look with great ball movement. Not a lot of bounce on that possession. Good quick ball movement. And an easy standstill jump shot knocked down by Ronaldo.
Makes it a 5-point deficit now for the Hurricanes. Carson now. And that bounces in and out, and it's a long rebound, and Clinkscales just there, gets there in the nick of time as Thomas was in the neighborhood, brings it up court. Dixon for three once again. That one doesn't go, and Allison reaches up and brings back the rebound there for the Island Storm. Richter now for three. Catch and shoot, no good. As they go end to end here at the Scotiabank Center with a minute and a half gone. Entry pass, Dixon on Ellis, who's got three. Dixon off the glass, can't get it to finish. And now is a foul called here as White put it in, but it's going to be after the whistle, and it's going against Ellis, and that will be his fourth as he's slow getting up and trying to get the little bit of some feeling here. And
it looked like it's going against Billy White as
Billy
Ellis
White, pardon me, yeah.
Yeah,
sorry.
Ellis had position there, Dan, and it looked like Billy had to go through and over the back of Ellis to gain that rebound, and it calls on Billy, and that's Billy's second, team's first. So Ellis did a good job of blocking out, and they need Ellis to be on the floor this afternoon for the rest of this game if they're going to steal this one.
Ryan Lutz-Fuba, it looked like it had a four on his finger. That's why I was thinking.
It looked like it. It looked like, definitely looked like it was on Ellis, but Ellis had good positioning there.
Shot clock violation there as Carson didn't get it off in time. That's a better possession there. Defensive stance there for the Hurricanes. As they're coming up to 2.5 gone here in the third quarter, a crucial third quarter. Joe Wells was telling me they had a really good first 10 minutes in that third quarter that propelled them to that victory in Game 4. Can they have another sort of type effort here this afternoon with the clock winding down? And Ellis there, back-to-back defensive stands there. Now he'll go end to end, makes a nice move, floater goes.
Outstanding play. You can see the fire in Ellis's eyes. He's playing like a man possessed this afternoon, picking up where he left off in that second quarter, attacking the rim, saw the seas parted and made no mistake with that floater and finishing at the rim.
Ball movement here by the Hurricanes, entry pass, and missed White, goes out of bounds, and all of a sudden things start to look a little unraveling here for the Hurricanes. The usual hands of Clinkscales, who could thread the eye of a needle sometimes on passes, couldn't get it to White that time. As Richter now goes the other way with it, and now he'll have a chance to knock him down from the free throw line.
Yeah, that's a good take there by Al Richter. Looked like he had the mid-range jumper, but he was able to get inside that Hurricane defense and draw the contact, and he'll go to the line and shoot too. He's a very good free throw shooter on the season.
And the Hurricane Force try to make noise to distract Richter, and of course you play at some of those university gymnasiums in the United States. The noise they're making isn't going to make a big deal as he drains both of those free throws, and it's a 9-point lead for the Iowa Storm, and that's the largest of the afternoon. And all of a sudden, Mike Leslie has to call an early timeout here as the Storm have come out guns a-blazing and have a 9-point lead as we're going to take a break, and we'll be back here on NBL Canada YouTube. Important couple of minutes. Just about ready to get underway here. Hurricanes down by 9. It's the largest deficit here for them. See if they can get some points and get some stops there if you're a Hurricanes fan. If you're watching from Prince Edward Island, cheering on the Island Storm so far. Keep the recipe of success going here this afternoon. Clock winding down. Clinkscales, Richter all over him. Clock at 4, entry pass. Watson's going to have to put it up, and he gets a short rim. Yes. But a nice defense there by the Island Storm once again.
Smothering defense there, and good closeout there by Jahi Carson as he made it difficult for Clinkscales to make a decision on the basketball.
Thomas with the take and the bucket, and it's once again the largest lead for the Island Storm, 50-39.
Can't let Terry Thomas get going. Thomas off to a slow start, but very quickly starting to find his way in the second half as he has 11 on the afternoon. 4 for 7 from the field.
Clinkscales into Watson and one.
That's a little bit more like it there. Clinkscales able to break down the defense of the Island Storm on that possession. Didn't wait for the double team. Was able to split the defense on that pick and roll and find Watson underneath the basket. And Watson's been pretty much cemented underneath the basket all afternoon for the Halifax Hurricanes.
I was going to say it's decision time for Joe Salerno what to do with Ellis, and he quickly goes and brings Baines back for Ellis.
Yeah, no choice. Ellis forced because of foul difficulty, but he's been outstanding this afternoon, shooting the basketball. Great contributor offensively right now. 4
personals for Ellis, first team foul. Allison there tried to go with the hook shot, comes up with nothing. Hurricanes cross the timeline. Clinkscales taking it. Fouled, and they're wanting to get the continuation, but it's not going to happen.
Yeah, and you can see that left shoulder
Carson now's got bandage on it, and you can see it.
You can see it, and Clinkscales attacked him right off the dribble. He didn't let up on him, and unfortunately, the two shoulders came together and collided. And Carson is in a lot of trouble right now physically as he's favoring that left shoulder, Dan.
Yeah, it's going to be a story here. And now, of course, we're getting into the stages. Dixon, 3 once again.
Slow closeout there by Terrell Baines. Great ball movement by the Hurricanes to find a wide open Ronaldo Dixon. The Island Storm cannot afford to have a lapse and not chase Ronaldo Dixon off the three-point line.
Thomas for 3, and it doesn't go. It's a loose ball. Allison had it momentarily and then dropped it, and it goes off a couple of Hurricanes players as White and Watson were in the area, so it will stay with the Storm. 7 seconds shy of 5 minutes gone here in the third.
A good battle underneath the basket there between Allison and Billy White as he was able to garner that rebound, but is knocked out of bounds and would extend this possession.
Allison goes down on the floor. Thomas now spins, shoots, short, and White right there. So whatever Mike Leslie said to the troops that during the timeout, it's worked defensively. Things starting to get a little bit better. Mason now on the drive and bucket. Beautiful take.
Beautiful take you mentioned, and that's probably going to force a timeout, and it looks like a technical's been called on someone. A double foul is the physicality continuing to happen after the basket as they're running down the court. But an outstanding take, as you mentioned, by Antoine Mason. Passed up that jump shot, was able to blow by his defender, drew a little bit of contact not called, but he was able to fight through it and finish at the rim.
Antoine Mason called for his third, and Thomas called for his second. Both teams have 3 team fouls here. Double foul. Carson loses the rock, but Richter right there swings it over to Baines. Carson now trying to take it strong and can, and loses the rock. And the Hurricanes come up with it. What was 11-point leads now down to 3. Clinkscales with the ball as we come up to the halfway point of the third quarter.
Mismatch here between Clink and Baines.
Shot clock at 8. Watson now on Richter in the paint. Clock winding down. Mason for 3. Bounces in and open. Dixon right there with the putback. And Salerno will now call for time.
No choice. He's got to talk things over and stop this momentum. Good timeout called on the floor by Coach Salerno, but the Hurricanes have found their way As you mentioned for that timeout, I'm pretty sure that Coach Mike Leslie read them the riot act when it comes to playing some defense, and they've shut them down in consecutive 3 straight possessions of the Island Storm. The Halifax Hurricanes did, and did an outstanding job because of all the rotations and the switches. Ronaldo was able to get that easy rebound and a putback because of the switches, because he had the smaller man, Jahi Carson, on him.
Well, the Island Storm were really kind of happy that the Hurricanes were taking the 3 because, you know, basically the Hurricanes relied on getting it into the paint with their bigs getting the points type thing. So they're happy giving up the jump shot, but they were not really expecting Renardo Dixon to be doing it. But he is a playoff performer. We've seen it last year, continuing on to this year. So now all of a sudden, if you're Joe Salerno, do you go back to your original game plan of making them take the jump shots, or do you still, you know, try to go on the, make them go inside on the one-on-one, even though you know it's strength? But if Dixon keeps shooting threes, it's, you know, basically 6-1, half a dozen the other in terms of offense. What do you do?
Absolutely, but you got to stay with, you know, what's gotten you here, and what's gotten the Island Storm here in this position has been their aggressive defense and the ability to make sure that when the ball is entered down low into the post, that the double and the third guy is coming over and harassing that big and forcing them into a tough pass, either a cross-court pass or a pass that's going to have a hand on it where there's a deflection and maybe a turnover coming back the other way, and stepping out and challenging the Hurricanes and running them off the three-point line and making sure that they beat them off the bounce instead of standing there and knocking down jump shots. So adjustments need to be made heavily right now by the Island Storm. Get back to what they were doing early in this third quarter, playing very aggressive defense.
It's a 1-point game now, 50-49. The Storm still leading just past halfway point of quarter number 3 in game 5 of this best-of-7 series. And an offensive foul. This one we going against Allison as he set the moving screen. And that should be his 3rd or 4th. I'm thinking 4th. You might have heard it there from Chris Lyon. We're just waiting for it to go on the board. It is his 4th as White gets the drain, but he'll have a chance to knock him down from the stripe.
Make that his 5th because Billy White, recognizing that he had 4 fouls, did a good job of getting the ball and attacking him, and that's number 5 on Allison. And that's got to hurt just a little bit for Coach Salerno, but he's done an outstanding job this afternoon, game management, shuffling guys in and out as Brad States hops off the bench, and he's had an outstanding series himself, and he's been done very well playing the big position, playing the 4 or the 5 for the Island Storm. So he's going to be asked to step in and play some major minutes the rest of the way, as Allison's probably not going to see him probably till, you know, maybe around the 5-minute mark of the 4th quarter.
1 or 2 White wins, and further up your point, Vince, they're without the services of A.J. Stewart this afternoon. Inactive for this game, so
that hurts
big
a lot.
men are just not quite there right now. Thomas now in the one-on-one, but loses the rock, and nice hustle there by Watson. He just wanted it more than Thomas did. Blocking foul, and he'll go to the line. Thomas was just hesitated, and then Watson just started putting on the Jets, picked up the ball, and now he'll be rewarded with 2 from the stripe in a tie game.
Outstanding hustle there by Tyrone Watson. As you can take a look at the replay here, he lost the handle, bounced it off Billy's foot. Watson chases it down, riding all the way as Thomas, and State's unlucky there, just a half a step slow, stepping in to take that charge. As Watson will go to the line and continuing his very good play this afternoon.
That one rolls around but doesn't go down. There for the New Mexico State product. 1 of 2, so that's 2 consecutive 1 for 2s from the free throw line for the Hurricanes, but right now they've got a lead. They were down by 11 at one point in this quarter, and now they have a 1-point lead, so this thing's got more up and downs than a roller coaster right now, in for a heck of a finish here in the 3rd quarter. Whack, 3, swish.
Good stroke, and the defender, instead of going up over top of that screen, came down low and created that space for Whack, and Whack made had no hesitation, was able to knock down that 3 ball. good offensive possession in that half-court set for the Island Storm.
Ball moving, and it goes off the hands of Mason and out. Passing can be a little bit of an issue. Like Clink Scales has had it there, but Mason couldn't handle it. And a couple of possessions ago, Billy White, a little bit too far out of his reach. So
turnovers starting to creep into the game of the Hurricanes. That's 14 on the afternoon. Storm did a better job with only committing 8 turnovers.
Clock at 6 now. Carson with an open lane, tried to go with a pass very close to the end line, picked off, and the Hurricanes send it back the other way. Whack fouls Clink Scales. Actually goes out of bounds. Had a little bit of a hand on it. I'm not sure if he maybe gave a little bit of a tap out of bounds.
Yeah,
But a turnover nonetheless.
You could see in that last possession for the Storm as Jahi Carson attacked the rim, and you could just see that he didn't have the confidence to go up and attempt that shot as he turned it over, trying to look for the pass.
Whack, too strong. Hurricanes, they had numbers. Now they'll wait for Mason to come back. States fouls him hard as he goes to the floor. Pretty well, that's what States is going to have to be. You know, a guy that used to be a good offensive player in the AUS is now going to be in a little bit of a role here where he's going to have to come up defensively, take some fouls here for the team.
Yeah, that was a good playoff foul. You can see there, not allowing Mason to finish through the contact and making it tough for him, where it's probably the only part of Mason's game all season long has been from the free throw line as he able to knock down the first, only shooting at just over 60% on the season.
Chance here to tie with this one with exactly 4 minutes left to go in the third. And does. 53-53. The Storm gave the Riptide all they could handle, eliminate them. They've gave the Hurricanes all that they could handle here. Been a tough series for both of these teams. Baines fouled, and the bucket doesn't go.
It looks like a charge call.
It's going to be an offensive foul.
Watson stepped in there and picked up that charging call. Just to add a little bit to what you were mentioning for the Island Storm, giving headaches to the Riptide and now the Hurricanes. Despite throw out those records, all 3 of these teams, the top of this division, Mason knocked down a big 3. They're pretty much evenly matched. I mean, on the season, because Halifax had a better record and they finished first. But those games were tough. You're talking about 2 3-point ball games that were, pretty much could have been decided on the other end. It could have been the Island Storm easily be number 1 in the top seed in the Atlantic Division as Thomas knocks down a jump shot there. So, I mean, you make a great point, Dan, that, the Island Storm have been battling, but I would say the 3 top teams in the Atlantic Division are pretty much even.
Yes, they have, and of course they came away with that first series win, and they've been pretty well a team that they'll win the first, have yet been unable to win back-to-back games. It's been like win one, lose one. It's been their modus operandi as Mason nails to 3 and then puts the championship belt around his waist in celebration, 59-55. And all of a sudden, they're starting to shoot the threes, these Hurricanes are. Clink Scales now, hot man, Mason, 3 again. No, it's short, 10. But he gets possession of it after deflection there from Dixon. And a new 24, and they're going to take as much time they can off the 24-second shot clock here, these Hurricanes. 2:22 left. Alley-oop! Billy White!
Lob City, baby. Outstanding connection, all organized by Clink Scales. An outstanding play there, and you can see they just have that connection between him and Billy White. They've been doing it all season long.
Thomas trying to quiet this Scotiabank Center crowd down, and that goes off the hand of Watson and out. And White wants noise.
As you can see in the replay here, just a look. It was just a look between Billy and Clink Scales. And it looked like Tyrell Baines fell asleep on the defensive end as Billy went one way, was able to lull Tyrell Baines to sleep, and able to go backdoor for the Lob City two-handed flush.
Catch and shoot for Whack that bounces in and out. State's going there looking for a second chance opportunity. And now the Hurricanes will settle it down. And you talked earlier about the game management. Mike Leslie not really wanting to have foul difficulty here for Taro Watson, brings Bowen back in here in the later stages. We saw that earlier in the game as well. Leg scales, take, back out, Bowen! Too strong.
Yeah, he's got to have that jump shot. There was a wide open jumper, even though he's coming cold off the bench. But that is
White
a wide
called
open
for the
jumper.
foul.
Yeah. Unfortunate foul on Billy. It was just, you can see it right from here. He basically grabbed his defender and moved him on her way to try to gain space and grab that rebound. Not a good foul.
And it's just third, and Cox will come in. Fourth team foul overall. 2-possession game now. The Island Storm, as we mentioned earlier, one time an 11-point lead, and they're going to try to get back into it. And that helps with the Richter 3 one-possession game.
You can definitely get back into it if Richter gets those standstill wide-open threes. He can knock that ball down from a very high prolific rate. You can't allow Al Richter to knock down shots from beyond the arc. Rebounding from game number 4, where he went 0 for 7 from the field and 0 for 6 from downtown.
Mason drives off the window and in. 63-58, under a minute to go in the third. Hurricanes have a couple of fouls to give. Al Stewart out on the floor, and they'll use one of those fouls as Bowen's going to be called as Stewart was driving. They'll send Al Stewart to the line.
Yeah, good decision offensively in this possession by Al Stewart, as he was able to split the defense there, protect the basketball on his way towards the rim. And he'll give himself an opportunity to knock down some free throws, where he's been very good on the season from the free throw line.
And you heard the announcement, Haywood in for the Hurricanes, Norman in for the Storm. Stewart to the line and trades the first one, 63-59.
Island Storm doing an outstanding job this afternoon from the charity stripe. If they only missed one free throw on the afternoon, and I just jinxed them, sorry to the Island Storm faithful. Stewart, an outstanding free throw shooter, uncharacteristic miss there.
So, to those who have tuned in throughout the regular season, we'll have a listening note. The following Dan Hobson role will be played by Vince Williams on the Jakes. 43 seconds left to go, 63-59. Bernardo Dixon, State's on him, and an offensive foul. There's a moving screen called here on the play. It's going against Bernardo Dixon. And all of a sudden, the Island Storm have a chance to bring it down to a 1-point lead for the Hurricanes on this possession. Stewart now, whack, starting to warm up, and that's too strong. Richter, no look. Just like threw it back, but I was unable on the second chance, and it's a tied ball as Dixon and Nortman fight for it. And now they're trying to get together to figure out who's the possession arrow in favor of. Manny States is pointing it towards the Hurricanes. It will be their ball. Shot clock shut off. 19.5 ticks to go here in the third. As we see Dixon inbound the ball, Haywood guarded here by Stewart. No fouls to give here. Shot clock shut off. Dixon up top here, set the screen up. 9 ticks to go. Sends it over, Dixon, wide open look for 3, that's no good. There's a ball battled there underneath the hoop, and that's how this third quarter ends. Storm, it was almost like the difference of like 2 quarters. First bit of the quarter went to the Iowa Storm, having an 11-point lead at 1 point, and now we look up at the clock, 63-59 in favor of the Halifax Hurricanes.
Yeah, well, the adjustments in the timeout, the timely adjustments and timeout calls by both coaches allowed them to go on a little bit of run after they made those defensive adjustments, and they were able to knock down shots. Their offense were on point, and then once the adjustments were made, They're limited and making it tough on both teams, but both teams got exactly what they wanted out of that quarter. The Island Storm still within striking distance here. They still have an opportunity to win this game. The 12 minutes is a long time. Got lots of time to go here, but they need their horses to step up. Jahi Carson, I know he's not 100%, but he's got to continue to fight through the pain and be effective offensively. And they need Terry Thomas to step up in this fourth quarter as well. He's been relatively quiet throughout the game. In spurts, he's been very good, but if they're going to win this game and steal this one and head back for a closeout in their building, those two guys need to step up in this fourth quarter. For the Hurricanes, they just got to continue to do the things that they do well. Defensively, limit the Island Storm to the one and dones, get good closeouts, get back up and down the floor and get those easy opportunities in the transition game and continue to feed the beast. That means continue to feed the beast means get the ball inside and get the bigs involved offensively. If the bigs can make good decisions with passing the basketball and not forcing the basketball through the Island Storm's pressure, they should be okay. So we're into a very good finish in the next 12 minutes, Dan.
You can definitely say it's a most important 12 minutes going to be coming our way in just a couple of seconds here at NBL Canada
Sidney
YouTube
Crosby
and the Silver Vision crew here on a Monday afternoon,
Michael
holiday
Jordan.
Monday. And the Hurricanes up by 4. Get ready for that fourth quarter. And the game management by both coaches have been fantastic here. We've seen it with Salerno, but you also got to wonder about you were talking about the coolness of Terry Thomas and Jahi Carson, and we documented, Thomas with some blue tape on the back of the neck, and Carson with the arm and having a little bit of arm issues, and he took a little bit of contact there in that third quarter. You got to wonder how healthy they really are, even though they're in the lineup.
They're not 100%, that's for sure, and now that they were able to get Akeem Ellis back into the game as he suffered and got into some foul difficulty in that third quarter. So he's had an outstanding game this afternoon. 15 points, 6 for 9 from the field, but importantly 3 for 6 from downtown. Thomas 4 for 10 from the field, 1 for 3 from downtown, 11 points. And you got Carson struggling with that ailment of that left shoulder, 3 for 9 from the field with only 10 points.
Well, it's an important miss because the big two of the Island Storm on the bench here to start the fourth as Wack, Ellis, Stewart, Richter, Nortman on the floor here for the Island Storm.
And that's tremendous trust, and knowing his team as Coach Salerno is able to go to the reserves and trust that they can keep this relatively close before he can go back to his horses. And I know he's got tremendous trust in Rashad Wack along with Al Stewart, and he knows that those guys are going to make outstanding decisions when it comes to their offensive sets. And then you inject into Robert Nortman here, who's relatively hasn't played in the first 4 games, getting the opportunity to be trusted in the big moment as well.
Wack gets both of them. Foul was to Bowen. That's his first here in the fourth quarter. Big fourth quarter up for grabs here on NBL Canada YouTube. Alongside Vince William, Dan Hobson, and the Silver Vision crew, gladly here on this holiday Monday here in the East Coast of Canada. Mason with the floater, and it's a 4-point lead once again.
Great patience off the pick and roll as Mason was able to hit that teardrop, and Wack coming right back off of that pick and roll. Halifax continuing to struggle with that pick and roll. The Island Storm need to basically run that pick and roll every time down, because when they've been able to run it, they've been very successful, either a mid-range jumper or the penetrating dribbler getting it all the ways towards the rim.
And tough defense there as Mason unable to get the shot away. Nortman there.
Got to come up with that pass.
That was a bullet thrown his way and he couldn't handle it. Turnover, Hurricanes basketball.
That was an outstanding decision in transition by Akeem Ellis as he was able to throw it through a sea of hands. But Nortman's got to come up with that pass and that finish at the rim.
White over to Mason now, and White will come up and set the screen there. Entry pass. White and Nortman on the one-on-one. Richter comes over to double team now. Clock at 4. Bowen with a short shot clock at 2. And unable to get it, and the rebound there by Nortman. A good defensive stance once again by the Island Storm.
Yep, good outstanding runouts, chasing guys off of 3-point lines as they were able to the recover on the help. Once they laid the help on Billy, and Billy made that cross-court pass, it was a good closeout and tough shot.
Jumper by Stewart is short and looks up, and he sort of hears it from the Scotiabank Center for the air ball. 65-63. An entertaining 2 minutes almost in the books here in this fourth quarter. Blake Scales trying to go through, sets up Cox, and the buckets. Blake does all the work, and Cox with the finish, and now have a chance to knock it down from the stripe here and complete the three-point play.
Outstanding pocket pass. You can see in that replay between Clint Scales and Cox as he was able to split the defense, and a nice pass in tight and moving without the basketball is Anthony Cox, playing in limited minutes this afternoon, was able to fight through the contact, but he couldn't complete the three-point play.
Well, you were talking about earlier about how the Island Storm shooting well from the free throw line. The Hurricanes not so much.
Struggling. It's been a struggle
1 of 2 in previous trips, and that time they didn't get a chance to complete the three-point play. Danny Patterson has a foul here going against the Hurricanes.
Yeah, the Hurricanes 14 for 19 from the charity stripe at a 73%.
Bowen called for his fourth.
Storm, on the other hand, 85% from the free throw line, 12 for 14. Excuse me, that's 14 for 20 for the Halifax Hurricanes at 70%. As Wack misses the first, as I reel off these percentages, and now I'm the guy to blame because I seem to be jinxing both teams. Usually that's your job.
That's usually mine. Decide to have a little bit of a different approach. Not saying that you were going to, that we planned this, but had a little different approach in terms of game prep today.
Wack knocks down the second. He's got 7 on the afternoon for the Storm.
9:39 left to go here. Series tied at 2. Hurricanes. Oh, baby! Bowen! What hops!
Not surprised at all. Aaron Bowen has outstanding athleticism, and there's been a couple times here at Scotiabank Center where you think the guy was going to pull up. You can see in the replay, he comes out of nowhere. He's got lots of length and great athletic ability, and he showed it on that possession by the Georgetown product.
Terry Thomas standing right in front of our broadcast location, getting ready to come as the shot clock winding down. Doesn't go. Cox comes up with it. A 5-point game. Joe Salerno thinking maybe things may be getting a little bit out of reach. Will go to his big man here to try to get some offense going. White fouled on the floor. Nortman says travel. Danny Patterson says no. Foul called going against Nortman.
It looked like it was knee on knee between Nortman and Billy. And Billy trying to shake off that left knee as he took contact on Nortman, but Nortman staying with it. I mean, he's fighting.
Nortman with his third.
I mean, they're going to get all 6 fouls out of Robert Nortman this afternoon, Coach Salerno is. And that's Nortman's game, the physicality, the good defender, a good rebounder. He's not going to give up any inches off between him and Billy in that matchup.
Pick and roll, Cox can't finish, and Bowen with a putback.
Once again, flying through the sky with the two-handed finish at the rim is Aaron Bowen. 6'6" and very athletic is Bowen.
Well, we did game number 2, Vince, and you talked about everybody contributing there for the Iowa Storm in that game. Speaking of everybody contributing, Norman now gets on the score sheet with a bucket, and the Hurricanes pretty well the same thing. Bowen getting things going there. Mason has a little bit of late defense there by the Iowa Storm. 73-66. 4 minutes gone in the fourth.
Once again, a mix-up on the defensive coverages. Easy bucket for Mason.
Here goes Bowen off to the races. And getting back was Wack.
Yeah, things starting to get a little bit undone here for Coach Salerno. He's got to try to reel his team back in here and get them doing things responsibly defensively.
Now this is an interesting decision. 5 fouls, Mike Allison in, Norman's off to the bench.
A little bit early in the fourth quarter as I anticipated. I said around the 5-minute mark we'll see Allison, but Coach Salerno has no choice but to try to go back to his horses now because you can't allow the Hurricanes to get into this run here and extend the lead.
Oh, what a nice piece of work by Bowen, and Thomas does get the bucket, but originally he picked his pocket. Thomas regained the rock and got the 2 points, 73-68.
And that's an important 2 points. Is they want Terry Thomas to get going here in this fourth quarter as the Storm go back to their 3-2 zone.
Trying to make sure that they put up jumpers. That was Salerno's pretty well game plan and earlier in the series.
Can't have
but
that,
once again, Bowen there in the paint.
Can't have that. They got to force the double team and allow Billy to go to work one-on-one on their defender. And moving without the basketball is Bowen, and Bowen's able to finish.
And foul called on the floor. As going against Clay Scales. Tried to explain his case there to Judge Ryan Luch, and Luch turns a blind ear. So Akeem Ellis will make his way close to our broadcast location to inbound the ball with 6:56 left to go. Get close to the what they call the media timeout, where both of these teams get a chance to take a breather and try to make some adjustments. Looks like it can't come soon enough here for the Storm. Bowen and one.
What can you say about Aaron Bowen? He's been outstanding in this fourth quarter. Slowly but surely starting to take over this game for the Hurricanes. You can see in the replay here in transition, Klink gets it up quick. Mason with the unselfish basketball and the finish through the contact for Aaron Bowen. Bowen was outstanding in game number 4, 4 for 4 from the field, 2 for 5 from the charity stripe, ended up with 10 points, 10 big points off the bench for the Hurricanes in that victory. And this afternoon, he's been nothing but outstanding once again. 4 for 6 from the field, 8 points, and an opportunity to make it 9 after the timeout. So outstanding contributions from the reserves on both sides. But in particular at this point, in this big moment of the game, Aaron Bowen has taken over in this fourth quarter.
He was mostly in the game here to try to give Watson a rest, but now all of a sudden Mike Leslie said, well, I got a hot hand. That's going to keep Watson to the bench here just a little bit.
Yeah, that
nothing
rest,
we could do, so.
That rest turns into, well, he's getting productivity. We'll rest Watson a little bit more. We'll see what we can get out of Bowen until he gets tired. Then we'll inject Watson back into the game. But Bowen has shown outstanding athleticism and relentless on the offensive end with a couple putbacks on the offensive rebound. And they're not running any type of offense through Aaron Bowen. Let's get no mistakes about it. No disrespect to Aaron Bowen and his game, but the offense is being run through the big boys. Billy White's going to get his touches. Clint Scales is going to be able to do his thing and create plays off the bounce, off either a one-on-one situation or a pick and roll. So when you have those guys going to work and drawing the eye of the defense of the Island Storm, and you're coming with the double teams and the triple teams, other guys need to come up big and make shots. And in these few sequences, Aaron Bowen has come up big and made shots. Now, it's time for the Island Storm to do the same. They need to be rejuvenated through this timeout and find some kind of way to fight through this momentum. Right now, they need their big boys to step up. Carson needs to be a little bit more consistent on the dribble drive, but where has been Terry Thomas this second half? Pretty much relatively invincible. He's not here in this fourth quarter. He's had some huge fourth quarters in this series, and right now with 6:44 left, they need him to have one of those big fourth quarters if they're going to steal this game.
Chance to put it into double figures here for Bowen at the stripe. Crowd will tell you. 6:44 left, as Vince mentioned, a 10-point game. Thomas fingered for the foul is his third. Carson Ellis, Allison, Thomas, and Al Stewart on the floor here for the Island Storm. Ball on the floor, and Thomas gets a blow to the side of the head and is favoring himself, so he's having a real tough series. But then again, everybody here on the floor, both of these teams says, there's a three. Mason, all of a sudden, 81-68, largest lead of the afternoon for the Hurricanes.
That's a huge triple on that trip down, a missed trip, an empty trip offensively, and Carson gets that one back.
Sweet.
But they can't afford the trade baskets, are the Island Storm. They need to buckle down and get some stops if they're going to try to get back into this.
Lake Scales, White, Cox, Bowen, and Mason on the floor here for the Hurricanes.
Going right back to the 3-2 zone.
Cox against Allison. Gets a return pass from Clydesdale's back out. Nice ball movement. Clock at 2, Mason. And that doesn't go. Foul there by Clydesdale as they had numbers the other way. Al Stewart was off to the races.
And there was the wrinkle in that particular possession. That time they didn't double the big. They allowed and trusted the big to go to work defensively and trusted that he could keep his man in front of him. And they forced that tough shot with that nice closeout and on that three-point opportunity by Mason. So adjustment defensively. They're not double teaming anymore, Dan. They're relying on their bigs to play one-on-one and trusting that they can stay in front of them and forcing that tough shot from beyond the arc.
Wack and Baines come back onto the floor here for the Island Storm. Baines has the ball. 5:19 left, 9 to shoot. Takes it strong. Fouled there by Cox.
Yeah, good
chance
patience.
to knock him down from the stripe.
Good patience by Tyrell Baines going to work inside on Cox. Cox not agreeing with that foul call, but Baines did a good job of getting in, working his way inside the paint with that hesitation. Tripped a little bit there, but did catch himself and was able to draw that contact. And most importantly, at the charity stripe here, they need every single free throw of the Island Storm, especially with the clock not on their side.
Cox gets his second. It's the 15th foul, and the first one doesn't go for Baines. All of a sudden, they're starting to struggle from that stripe as he misses both.
Can't afford empty trips offensively for the Storm. You need to get some type of points on the board, whether it's 1, 2, or 3.
Coming up to 5 to go, Bowen, and he's called for too many steps. So sometimes the only thing that can stop Bowen is himself, as he's called for the travel, and now it will be the Storm a chance here. And they need, not only do they need points, but they need stops here. They're going to try to get some points here, try to get things going here with Carson. And as Vince mentioned, Carson and Thomas a little bit quiet this afternoon. Carson now with the drive. And White didn't get there in time as Carson gets the bucket.
Once again, the pick and roll, Dan, giving the space. They've been very good this afternoon, that type of offense. When they ran the pick and roll with Jahi Carson, he's been able to make an outstanding decision, either getting all the ways to the rim or finding an open man after the help comes late.
Bowen, White, bucket. Not how they drew it up, but it works.
But they can't afford that type of defensive breakdown as Bowen was able to get a wide open White on the back screen. Rolling towards the basket, off the screen.
Thomas with a nice take, but couldn't get it to go. And White with the rebound and calmly hands it to the captain, who will cross the timeline. 4:10 to go. The Island Storm's resume here in playoff rounds: win one and lose one. They're on the verge of possibly losing 2 straight here. And Mason's going to be called for the offensive foul. That's going to draw a reaction here from the Scotiabank Center.
It looked like his offhand made contact in the face of Terry Thomas off of that dribble. As you can take a look at the replay here off the screen, that looked like that offhand by Antoine Mason just drew the contact in the face area of Terry Thomas. So might have been, maybe early in the game they were letting that stuff go, but now they're calling it pretty tight down the stretch here. As
another defensive rebound there for White. Was one of the leaders there in rebounds in the regular season. Starting to do it at both ends now. Clydesdale fakes, drives, bucket. 13-point lead, the largest this afternoon.
Can't have that. That was just another defensive breakdown, but an outstanding decision offensively by Klink.
Ellis, deep three that doesn't go. This is what the lead can do, is all of a sudden you have to rely on the 3-ball, and sometimes it wasn't draining for them in game number 4. They were 11% from outside the arc, and now all of a sudden this is just in favor of the Hurricanes, and they're just driving. And speaking of driving, as Ellis got into the restricted area, and the offensive foul called against Dixon.
Yeah, Ellis doing an outstanding job of stepping up and sacrificing his body. Ronaldo probably would have been better by giving up one more pass, as he was able to blow by his defender, as there was a wide open Hurricane in the corner waiting for that 3-ball. As you mentioned, 8 for 24 from distance at 33% is just not going to get it done for the Storm. There's a jump ball, and I'm not sure if it's a foul or a jump ball here, and it looks like a turnover, and it will be a travel call. And
yes, he was spinning, and he didn't shoot afterwards, so.
yeah, as you can see, these last few possessions, 4 straight, have gone from bad to worse for the Storm.
White gets away with a push on Bates. Bates still looking for it, and nothing coming.
So a little bit of inconsistency calling for the fouls. One, we get a touch ticky-tack foul down here, and then we got some contact where it looked like it either was a blocking foul or a charge. But if you're the Island Storm faithful, you want a charge. But it looked like it could have gone both ways on both guys. So
nice patience there by Baines as he took his time, and he gets hacked going up, so now a chance to knock 2 from the stripe. Of course, his previous time at the free-throw line went 0 for 2. Let's see if he can succeed here this time and gets a little bit of a shooter's luck, and down it goes, 87-73, 2:27 left to go. And that big bus of Island Storm fans are looking a little bit depleted and a little bit quiet right now, knowing that the possibility that there could be an elimination game for game number 6 at Charlottetown as they try to set the alley-oop to Dixon, and that had a little bit too much mustard, too much gas on that one. Turnover, 2:21 left. Thomas now with the ball, one-on-one on Watson, and pushed out of bounds there by Tyrone Watson. Watson not happy with the call from Danny Patterson. It's the 4th going against Watson. 7th team foul, so this should be shooting here as they're over the limit. So at the stripe is Terry Thomas.
Thomas, a relatively quiet afternoon. Not up to his usual standards. Struggled a little bit from the field. 4 for 11 from the field. It's been perfect from the charity stripe though. 12 points thus far. Make it 13 for Thomas, along with 5 rebounds and 3 assists.
Double team here as they need to get the ball, but Thomas now down on the floor once again and slow to get up. And now he's hobbling, trying to get back into the play. You see him there just barely outside the arc, but he is really not comfortable, Mitch. Really trying to get some feeling back into that leg.
Yeah, you could see both of their superstars trying to fight through some ailments this afternoon as Thomas will go to the bench and Richter will be injected back into the game. And like you said, he's favoring that left leg. Already came into this game with looked like an apparent either neck or back injury, along with Jahi Carson's left shoulder. Man, it's just been a tough afternoon for the Stars of the Island Storm here at Scotiabank in game number 5, a pivotal game 5, the swing game. Just over 2 minutes to go. Looks like the Hurricanes may be going back to the Island up 3-2 and an opportunity to close this one out.
Storm won the first game, and then Hurricanes won the second, and then of course the third win to the Island Storm, and the 4th the Hurricanes won on a Saturday night. So all of a sudden, there's a little bit of the adversity with this Island Storm because A.J. Stewart didn't even dress here for this game.
Correct.
You got to wonder about Carson and his arm, how good that's going to be. Thomas
correct.
Neck back.
Yes.
I mean,
A lot of adversity. But
Allison, as I said, he's in this game, but he doesn't, as I said, you're not going to win Pretty Beauty contest with a little bit of bruise right around the eye area. And I mean, injuries galore, but I mean the Hurricanes as well, like Washington tried to come out before
it's that time of the
pregame,
year,
and
right?
He couldn't go. Zimmerman with the heel.
It's that time of the year where both teams are banged up, and it's the team that can play through, that type of attrition. It's a game of attrition, and it's a series of attrition. It's been very physical since game number 1 between these two teams, and you got to think this Island Storm team is not going to lay down in game number 6 in their own building. They've been very good throughout the playoffs in closeout games, and they're going to be their first test if things don't go their way in the next 2 minutes in this game, and they got to fight through, and it's an elimination game at home. You got to think that for the full 48 minutes, they're going to fight and they're going to make it very difficult for the Halifax Hurricanes to close it out.
Hardest game to win is an elimination game, and that's what the Hurricanes could be facing here. Still a little bit of time left in this one as Richter holds on to Watson, and Watson a little bit favoring an injury, but he saves to shake it off okay. It's a third against Richter, 87-76. They have a couple of fouls to give here. One now, Mason off the window and in, continuing his hot play.
Yeah, Antoine Mason's been outstanding throughout these playoffs, in particular the last 2 games. That's another 20-plus game, and tricky dribble there by Carson, but it might be a little bit too late for those type of offensive output here, as they need to try to get some steals here and some opportunities offensively.
90 seconds to go. Hurricanes got to try to use as much time on the 24 they can. Whack there trying to foul White, and does. Of course, he was in the act of shooting, so it's going to send him to the line. Probably would have liked that foul a little bit sooner. The pose on the drive, so White will go to the stripe. Slurter will go to the bench and bring Stewart on here for Whack. Whack gets his first, actually. Slurter trying to explain the situation to Ryan Lutz as well as Whack.
Yeah, it's a very frustrating afternoon for the Island Storm when it comes to getting maybe explanations on certain plays through the officiating crew, but it's been pretty consistent, as we've seen for both sides, as both teams, along with the coach, have been frustrated at times with some of the decision making by this officiating crew, but it's playoff basketball.
Whack was standing back there waiting for the outlet pass. It didn't come. Hurricanes going to be called for the foul. It goes against Mason, as you heard, his 4th.
Both teams deciding to turn this one into a free throw shooting competition.
States takes off his warm-up jersey and now will make his way to the scoring table. Carson hits the first free throw, makes it 90-79. 82 seconds left to go here in the 4th. States to come in for Terrell Baines. Pretty well has a defensive job that he's got to do right now. Mike Scales inbound, double team. They beat it. Watson now. Lead pass to Dixon. And the ball movement that Joe Wells talked about looking pretty good right now as they beat the double team, get it over. Shot clock at 10, 67 seconds left to go. Watson along the end line and flies by States and gets the bucket. 92-80, 60 seconds left to go. Less than a minute till the Hurricanes take a 3-2 series lead. Ellis. Floater doesn't go, gets a second chance at a bucket. Hurricanes just happy here to get this last minute done out of the way with 45 ticks on the clock as Stewart with the tough defense on Mason now. Mason has a little bit of speed, drove it into the paint, now will kick it out. Trying to take as much time off the 24 as you can. The clock's at 8 now. Mason, solo effort, drives, fouled. Mason just pretty well put the team on his back on that possession, Vince, as he kept the ball for a good chance, and then now we'll go to the free throw line and pretty well can put the final nails in the coffin if it already hasn't been done here for the Halifax Hurricanes.
Yeah, Antoine Mason has definitely been a problem for the Island Storm in the last 2 ball games. 28 points in game number 4. It was outstanding. Game number 5 backed it up. Game number 4 with a 30-plus performance here this afternoon, and he's been very good in the 3rd and the 4th quarters in this series. And basically, like you said, he's put the team on his back, and he's closed this one out with 31 huge points.
Stewart for 3, that's no good, and there were only 3 white jerseys in the area. And even the Storm have sort of conceded defeat here this afternoon as they cross the timeline. The Scotiabank Center crowd will take us the rest of the way to the Horn. As you see Cox wave his arms in the air, Mike Leslie, an assistant coach to Joe Salerno all those years, is now one victory away from going to his first NBL final as a head coach. 94-82, the final. Vince, just a couple of quick thoughts here before we wrap this one up, my friend.
Well, I mean, it was an evenly matched game throughout the first 3 quarters of this game. In the 4th quarter, the superstars showed up. Antoine Mason has been outstanding throughout this series, and he showed why he's been very good in this series, finishing the night up with 31 points and leading the charge for the Halifax Hurricanes. On the Island Storm side, they need to get healthy quickly. Now, is it 24 hours going to be enough time for them to get healthy? I'm not sure. Jahi Carson in a lot of trouble with the left shoulder injury. AJ Stewart unable to go this afternoon. And then Terry Thomas, a very big part of their offense and defense, not able to give him 100% this afternoon. As you can see, he had either a back or a shoulder or a neck injury as he came into this game with the athletic tape on his body. So it's going to be interesting 24 hours for both of these teams. A closeout situation for the Hurricanes going into the Island Storm's building. The Island Storm on the brink of elimination in their own building. Can they fight back? It's going to be 48 minutes. It's going to be a fight. It's going to be a battle, and it's going to be very interesting to see how it's going to play out.
Both teams, of course, are going to head on out of here and make their way over to Charlottetown. And it is an elimination game and a short turnaround. Once again, final score, the Halifax Hurricanes 94, the Island Storm 82. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in to the webcast here on NBL Canada. For my broadcast colleague Vince Williams and the Silver Vision crew, my name is Dan Hobson. Thank you for watching. So long from the Scotiabank Center, and enjoy the rest of what's left of your Victoria Day long weekend.